Hi friends. Uh, it's been a very long time that since I've made a video, and I've been quite busy with my studies, and that's why I couldn't make any video for anyone. As usual, there have been many mails which keep coming, and I found a very relevant question that somebody had, which is uh, they had some plans. Like most people have their plans when they want to do something in life, when they want to uh, when they have a business plan or a project plan or some assignment plan that they have, or they're trying to make it big in some way or the other. Why does it fall flat? Now, a lot of people, a lot of my clients, and I wouldn't really say it's a very Indian mindset. I would say, since I have clients all over, I get these questions from a lot of people, that why is it a good idea to talk about their spiritual sadhana that they are doing, or if they are doing any kind of special ritual, is it good to talk about it? Now I'll tell you what I feel about it, and what traditionally what shastras talk about it. So I would say that when you are actually doing a sadhana, whether the other person is initiated or not initiated, or whether in practice or not in practice, you should not be really discussing anything about it ever. What happens is, firstly, the moment you're talking about any kind of ritual practice that you are doing, even sitting at home, what happens is the entire effect of it goes away with whatever you say. There is no way that you should be discussing any of your practice, any of your the japam that you're doing, or if you're doing any kind of chanting, or if you're doing some special ritual for special things. There are rituals for 41 days, there are rituals for 51 days, there are rituals for many days. People have those things in their mind that I will do it. The moment you discuss that, it's done. You will see that it will never have that effect anymore. Similarly, when you are doing any plan which you have in your mind and it comes out from you, the effectiveness of that plan goes away. Show it in your actions. Show it in how you want to do it. Do not ever share your plans with anyone. So this is my personal belief. I really think that I have experienced this in my life, and I have seen a lot of people who have experienced the same thing in their life. The moment they talk about their studies, the moment they talk about their practice, the moment they talk about their project, the moment they talk about their trip, the moment they talk about any kind of special work which they've been waiting for a very long time, it's done and dusted. So, effectively, I would say, any kind of practice, keep it within yourself. After it is done, you can talk about it. But while you're in the progress, apart from your mentor or apart from your guru, never discuss anything, any plan with anyone. So that is rule number 1. Another question that I had was, a lot of people are having a lot of negativity around them. How to release that? Now, I personally believe, and right from the time the lockdown had started, the energies that you get from people who come from outside your house for any kind of work that they come for, they leave their energy in your house, which not necessarily is good energy. Specifically when you're talking about your drivers, when you're talking about courier people, when you're talking about your maids, when you're talking about your servant boys, anyone who's staying with you, anyone who's living with you, they don't really have excellent energy. So what happens is their energy merges with your energy and it creates havoc. Now what happens is they are leaving their energy there and they are going away. So what I specifically do is I mix a few things with my floor wash regularly. I cleanse myself regularly. I cleanse the area regularly with smoke and smudges and everything. The moment I feel that somebody has come home and they are leaving their energy, I cleanse my house always. Whether it's home, whether it's office, whether it's your workspace, whether it's a house that you have somewhere which you are not using, that place also needs to be cleansed. It's very important. So the moment you have guests at home, after they leave, even if you don't have smudges or even if you don't have the smoke, you just burn a few bay leaves. That's more than enough. Of course, they're not energized. That's a different thing. But if you have something energized, nothing like it. If you don't have it, don't waste your time for buying a smoke or doing anything. A simple bay leaf, a bunch of bay leaf on charcoal, just leave it. It works fine. If you have anyone who's given you a bouquet of flowers which is drying up, just sun dry them. You can sun dry them on newspaper. Just burn them. If you don't have a dehydrator, just sun dry them and use them. You can try clary sage essential oil to cleanse yourself. We always cleanse ourselves before any kind of a ritual because the energies, you need cleansed energies for any kind of ritual that you're doing. Another thing that somebody had asked me was, why do you need to cast a circle? Now this is specifically for practitioners I'm talking about. Why do you need to cast a circle before any kind of a ritual? Well, I would say it's not really necessary to cast a circle if you're always in a cleansed place or if you're always in a conscious level of cleansing. But if you're not, when you are calling the higher deities, when you're calling upon them, when you're remembering them, like what we do during a puja or when we're having special rituals, when we have pujas like Diwali or even before Holi or even before a guest comes home, you clean your place, right? No matter how your bedroom is or something, but the living room is always clean, right? So that is where the guests are coming. So when you're talking about rituals, when we're talking about invoking the higher deities for some kind of assistance in our rituals, you definitely need to cleanse the space, and we cast a circle just to show our working space and we cleanse it. It is not that if you're calling any kind of higher, even demons or deities that you want to work with, that a simple salt is going to ward them away. It's nothing like that. I mean, they cannot be that weak or that even thinking like that is something really stupid. So it is just a sign of respect that we do. A lot of people ask me whether they should be fasting before a ritual or not. I would say yes, because it is a sign of respect. You can't be really full till your throat, and just like you're inviting somebody home, you wouldn't have your dinner before they come, right? So it's something like that. I look at it in a very different way. I look at it as you're inviting someone home and you're inviting them for your assistance because you need them. And how can you eat before that? So I would suggest at least a few hours of food gap should be there. You definitely need to take a shower, a nice peaceful shower. Probably all elements need to be there around you while you're taking a shower. It's just a feel good factor, you like some rose petals in your bath water, or maybe some essential oils, or maybe just a candle lit in the bathroom. Keep your bathroom clean, keep everything fragrant, because spirits get attracted to good fragrance. So if you're looking for divine energies, if you're looking for divine gods and goddesses who would come and assist you in your work, please have your house cleansed with nice fragrance all around you, so that it becomes easier for them to come and connect to you. A lot of people ask me have asked whether any kind of offering which is a non-veg which is required or not. According to, even if I look back in the older texts, when we were not so civilized, so I would say that even the Adivasis, even now, when they are doing a ritual, when they are doing a puja, or when they are doing a ceremony, they definitely have some kind of sacrifice. So I'm not saying that you get a bird and kill, or get an animal and kill, nothing like that. People who are non-vegetarians, they can just have a piece of meat or a piece of anything which had life at some point of time. So if you're looking for something from that ritual, definitely you need to have something which had life in it, because we are talking about creative energy, we are talking about creative force. So previously they used to be using either meat or eggs, because meat had life at some point of time, which is dead right now, and an egg would have the possibility of life at some point of time, would have had the possibility of life at some point of time. So I think it really makes sense. When you think about it, it does make sense. And of course, you don't really need to have that. Ideally, you should go and leave it at a crossroad, where you should just leave it and not think about it. Once a ritual is done, you need to just release that energy, eat something after that, get out of that mode, not think about it anymore. The lesser you think about the ritual, the faster it might happen. There are chances and probabilities that it will happen much faster if you're not thinking about that you've done a ritual and you're waiting for it to happen. The moment you're holding on to that energy, that means you have not released it in the universe and you're keeping it within yourself, and the spirits are not going to do much to help you. So the moment you're done with it, just forget about it, shut the book, do something else, listen to some music, make some food for yourself and have it. So I guess I answered a lot of questions today. I will probably make some more videos. I'll be prompt in making videos, and I'll try to make some more videos for you. And till next time, have a great life, have a cleansed life, and let's attract that abundance to you. Thank you.